So after this, did you kind of learn something about yourself? Did you change anything? Did
No.
you?
Mm-mm. I learned nothing. I learned nothing about myself. It didn't change anything. I also was just an angry kid. I was angry too. I didn't feel protected. I didn't feel protected by the adults that felt should have protected me in my
Right.
life.
Hmm.
I lived a lot in fear, too, because of like my step pops and like stuff that he just. It's like, yeah, just the confidence, some of the confidence that I should have had or believed I should have had as a young man. I just didn't, because of the trauma associated with, being abused by him. Just even down to education, you know, just thinking about when I was a young person, like just being helped with my homework could result in a beating
Hmm.
or being abused, just being abused because I didn't get the answer right, or I erased because I'm erased so much I didn't erase the hole in the paper because I'm crying and now the paper is wet and all of that. So I strayed away from a lot of the traditional versions of education because it just felt so painful, right?
Hmm.
And that I wasn't accepted around not knowing, right? It's like I'm learning, so I'm not actually supposed to know. Like I'm learning, and there wasn't any grace in that, right? It just felt painful.
Hmm. So after that first run in, with the law, what was the second time?
I don't even have a first and second. I don't even know it's first and second time. It was so long, man. It was in the 80s, man. And
Yeah.
I just racked up a bunch of petty
Yeah.
stuff and
So what was
it
your
was
first
that.
real major, I guess, bid that you did, or first real time that you really had to do some time and sit down and think about,
It's my first real time, but I want to say 92, 93.
and how old were you at that time?
Was I 2021?
Okay.
May have been 2021.
So about 5 years, five,
Yeah.
6 years after the first. Okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, I had stuff in between
Right,
there,
right, right.
stuff like I said, stuff in between there, but that was the time I had to sit down for quite some time. Me and my brother, um, we both sat down. We was co-defendants on the case, and we was in another state. We was in a whole another state. I was in the state of Kentucky, and we both sat down for some time, from about 92, 93 to 98.
Did you have a grand jury or a jury
No, I've
that
never I've
decided your
never
fate, or?
no, I've never gone to trial on anything
Hmm.
in anything that I've done. I've always, pled guilty to
Yeah.
my stuff. But I've never gone to trial or anything of that nature.
Yeah.
So
Looking back, would you have fought to take less time, or it's like I did what I did, I know what I
no.
did. It
Yeah,
is
I
what it
did what
is.
I did. I know what I did. I wasn't even thinking
Mhm.
about any of that. That's not even a thing in hindsight. Hey, I should have fought this or anything like that. No.
Mhm. Can you
Mm-mm.
take us back to the first day you was locked up in the penitentiary in prison, and how you felt, and what you saw, and what
Yeah,
you,
I mean, I think my first time really was more so. I think it was Rikers Island more so. Um, Definitely was scared.
mhm.
Like,
Did you hear, prior to going from your peers? Did you hear how they get down in there, or how they moved in there?
I mean, yeah, I mean, you heard the violence.
Hmm.
That's what you heard. You heard the violence.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And people can tell you all day what it is. It's different when you experience it. You know what I'm saying? When the violence is present for you, or your interactions with an officer or something of that nature is present for you, and how you gonna stand up.
Hmm.
And so, there definitely was a fear initially,
Hmm.
is experiencing something different, something new. You're in this situation with, other aggressive men, and You know, you have to really figure it out quickly.
Mhm.
You just have to figure it out quickly.
So
You
did
know
so
what
did
you're
you
gonna
have
do.
anybody, maybe the first day or maybe even prior to you going in to give you advice on how to move
No,
while locked up?
no,
No,
no.
so you just went in cold turkey,
No
just
one, no one's really giving you too much. No one's really giving you too much advice, pretty
yeah.
much on how to move. You know, you may get one or two. You know, older cat that may be in there. You know what I mean? You may ask, "Yo, you first time? Yo, you good though? You good?
Mhm,
You good, shorty?
mhm,
You good? Don't trip." You
mhm,
know, they'll hit you with some of that possibly, but other than that, you know, once you get in them spaces, you gotta eventually you gotta figure it out.
mhm.
You know,
Were you in any gangs
never.
then?
I never was a part of any gang, anything of that nature. I had my team that I rocked with in my neighborhood, NA Rock, Ocean Avenue. But you know, we didn't consider that as a gang. We was all in the same neighborhood, and you know, but we moved in other hoods too that we was cool with dudes in other spaces. You know, I mean,
Mhm,
back then you go wherever, you
mhm.
know, and but you
What
need to be
wherever meaning what?
you can go to whatever hood you wanted to go to,
Okay.
but you at least needed to know somebody there or
Right,
was just good
right.
in the space, and it was, you know, it was all good. But nah, there was no gangs. I never was with a, you know, a gang situation. That just really wasn't my era,
Mhm,
you know, where gangs were a thing, you
mhm.
know. Um, so I wasn't part of any gangs. I didn't click up with anybody. Of course, you bumped into, you know,
People you
homies
know.
from the
Yeah,
neighborhood that's jammed up. We'll
right.
see each other in the hole. Yo, you good? You all right? We'll make sure we good. We ask each other they
Mhm,
good. Yo, you need something, whether that be food or something of that nature. But other than that, nah.
mhm. Did you during your time, like, did you do anything to pass time? Any type of rehabilitation programs? Anything educational? Did you learn a trade?
Uh
Would you kind of just do to pass time and make it go by?
yeah, when I went upstate, I had did custodial maintenance, but I was always a barber.
Okay. Did you learn barbering while locked up or
I learned
prior?
I picked up my first time picking up a set of clippers. I was in juvenile. I was in the
Okay.
juvenile detention center upstate,
Hmm.
Camp Brace, and that was the first time I picked up a pair of clippers.
Hmm. How did that pique your interest? What made you wanna? Did somebody just say, "Hey, try this," or did you
It
just see
was
it?
I seen somebody else doing it, and I was like, I think I can do that, and because we had to cut each other's hair.
Hmm.
Because we didn't have a barber on the, and it was like a Caesar,
Hmm.
and everybody had, we all had waves, you know, that was the thing, having waves or whatever.
Hmm.
And I was like, I can give a stab at it.
Hmm.
You know, I watched for a minute, and then I said, all right, let me try this. Was I good the first try? Of course not. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I was successful enough to, you know, get, you know, completed, and it was all right, you know,
Hmm.
back then.
Hmm.
Um, but going into prison, you know, I always worked in a barbershop. I did some form of cutting hair wherever I was, whether that was on Rikers Island. And that's where I first got my initial sort of formal instruction around barbering was in the Six building
Hmm.
back in the days where there was a main barber shop where, before they gave you your little net bag to go around to the dorms and cut hair. So, and so like the barbers in jail, in prison are like they're important,
Hmm.
right? They're important, you
Hmm.
know, in terms of just making sure people look good, networking, or what
Hmm.
have you. And if you nice, like dudes, you know, rock with you, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? And
Hmm.
so I think that was my sort of saving grace, you know, being incarcerated because I was a barber, right? And I was really a people person too. And you know, in them spaces, it's like, whoa, how do you be a people person?
Hmm.
But like, nah, if you good, cats is like they rock with you. It's like, nah, Ak is good. And I wasn't even Muslim then
Hmm.
either, right? But I just knew like I wasn't getting, you know, I wasn't getting involved in none of the prison politics. Like there
Sure.
was a lot of prison politics
Yeah.
and jail politics, gambling, borrowing stuff. I just kind of picked up and learned that very, very early on that this is how I'm gonna move,
Hmm.
right? And you'll find your tribe in them spaces where dudes is chilling. And I always gravitated to dudes that's chilling and dudes that was learning. Like they wasn't no suckers or nothing, but they was like, yeah, we trying to learn. We're trying to, you know, build and grow and you know what I mean, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So that was pretty much my energy. So I didn't get caught up in, you know, prison politics and all of that.
So what was your first form of payment? how did you? Obviously, you don't have cash in prison, so
Cigarettes. I
sick.
mean, cigarettes is the cash.
Okay,
Cigarettes is the cash,
that's the currency.
commissary,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
candy bars,
Mm.
stuff like that. That's the money,
Okay.
And I used to smoke. I used to smoke cigarettes, you
Mhm.
know what I mean? So cigarettes was the thing,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah. So you never gambled.
No,
You didn't partake in none of
no,
that.
no, no,
Okay.
no. I didn't get involved in none of that. That wasn't my thing.
Hmm. While incarcerated, did you keep connection with your family or those that was close to you at the time?
I did, and like I wasn't in communication with my moms at all during my incarcerations. At least my first early on incarcerations, I would write letters to my then girlfriend uh Michael's mom, my
Mhm.
oldest son's mother, and then of course my older children, their mom, or what have you. And I would keep through correspondence, through writing, phone calls if it was a possibility for me to, to make a phone call in terms
Mhm.
of collect, especially being upstate or what have
Mhm.
you. But where the calls were free on Rikers Island, if we had a phone, because like even phones were a luxury,
Mhm.
right? And it was like we didn't have it. People we didn't have it. There wasn't a phone in the crib, so I would maybe if I called, it would be a payphone, like be at a payphone at a certain time, or what I mean, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But but I kept in contact and communication as much as I can, mainly through writing,
Mhm.
through letters and things of that nature.
Did you feel a support system
I
at all? Did you
I
feel did you feel like people like
it depends. It depends on it sort of depends on when in terms of support system. So I've always had a support system in my grandmother.
Mhm.
Once and that's with everybody in my family. Once you get incarcerated, you get your time. My grandmother has your ID numbers, where you at. Every month, you got some money in your account.
Mhm.
So you came home.
Mhm.
That was the support. Phone call, holidays, always call grandma. That's
Mhm.
who I called. I called her. I was able to communicate with her regularly. That was my support system. And my sister. My sister was a support system for me too. And whenever I'm able to get in communication with her, but for mostly it was my grandmother.
Mhm. And
it, yeah,
did you have any other prison bids that you had to do? Any other time that you had?
yeah. I had some other prison bids that I done. I think in the support system at that time was my other children's mom.
Mhm.
At the time, she was a serious support system. Coming to visit, bringing the children, bringing my son at the time to come and see me, my younger son, and a friend of mine who I actually met in prison. His mom, major support system, like even making sure and assisting around getting my my then wife at the time, her and my son up to visit, right? When she was able to, also because she had a life, had to work, couldn't come all the time. So I really wasn't tripping around
Mhm.
a lot of that stuff. I understood what my situation was. I think as I got older, in doing my time and so forth and so on, I just learned to live um sort of without the support in that way, right?
Like independent?
Yeah, and just kind of be independent
Mhm.
as much as I could in those situations. Of course, I want some communication with family. Yes, I want to hear my children's voice or what have you. But one thing I also learned, and I didn't learn this also until later, and just understanding that, life is happening for them too, man. While I'm incarcerated, life is happening. It has not stopped for them.
So you
Like,
understood that
yeah,
throughout
life
the
has not
yeah.
stopped. Life has not stopped. The struggle, rent still got to get paid. Them children still got to eat. All of that still has to happen. Just because you read a couple books and you got some wisdom and you didn't grown a little bit, that ain't what's happening for them out there. The hustle and bustle of life is still happening.
Mhm.
And so a lot of times just being incarcerated, especially us as men, we don't have that lens. We think everything is simple sometimes. Only thing you got to do is just go pick up this package and drop it off. It's only once a month. We think all of this other things is just a simple thing to do, and it was a struggle when you was there.
Mhm.
What makes you think it ain't gonna be even more of a struggle that you ain't? And so I was able to pick that up to some degree, and I don't get it twisted. I had my selfish moments where, I wanted what I wanted, or, I wanted a visit, or was upset that I didn't get one, or what have you,
Mhm.
because at the same time I'm thinking about, my need for other human connection,
Mhm.
with your family and things of that nature, just to
Mhm.
sort of escape the environment that you in, for a moment. But yeah,
Where did you get locked up the second time?
where?
Yeah, where? Where were you?
Where
Where
did
did
they
they put you
send
at?
me?
Yeah, where did they send you?
Oh, a federal institution. I was sent to a federal institution, Farrington.
Where's
It's
that?
in New Jersey.
It's in New Jersey.
In New
Okay.
Jersey, yeah, it was in a federal institution, in New Jersey.
From Rikers to New Jersey, did you
No, no,
have
no,
any
no. So it wasn't from Rikers. It was from MCC, the federal
MCC? Okay.
building in Manhattan.
Oh,
From
so you never went to Rikers?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah, I
okay,
did. I
okay,
did. So that these are separate
okay,
times,
okay,
separate
okay. Yeah, I'm
situations.
trying to establish if
Right,
you're
right.
talking
So
about
it's
the.
not. Yeah, no, it's not even. That's not. It ain't even on that happened much later,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it wasn't like da 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 da. But I was on Rikers Island much earlier. Last time I was on Rikers Island was actually 1992,
Okay.
right? So we're talking about over 30
Right.
years,
Right.
from the last time that I was on
Mm-hmm.
Rikers Island, and everything else was either out of state or the federal institution.
Okay. Did you have any mentors or OGs that kind of you
Absolutely.
looked up to?
I always gravitated towards, the older brothers, man, and they always took a liking to me. Um and I was just almost like also like that father figure kind of vibe, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
that I always, I guess, wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to find that in a lot of older brothers that I connected with, especially as after I became Muslim. Once I became Muslim, like, they were there, and it was brothers who had served a lot of time, who had already been incarcerated for quite some time already, and again, took a liking to me, and just, I guess, how I moved or whatever, how I carried myself as a
Mm-hmm.
young man, and took me under their wing around learning and teaching me Islam, and just talking about life, and what I mean, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah.
Being in the feds compared to state prison or state jail. Was there any difference? Did you
Yeah, it's
notice?
definitely, yeah, it's night and day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's night and day.
Can you talk
Uh
about some of the differences?
I think the differences between the federal and the state, it's quite a few things that's different between feds and the states, is that, the state institutions are people who are in your state, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about New York State.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone who is incarcerated in those situations is 99.9% of people from within your state. And in the feds, you have people from all over the country, and you could be actually sent anywhere in the country to do your time. So you could be in there you're in there with people from the Midwest, from the West Coast, from the South, from everywhere. Everything in that situation is pretty much is geographic,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not on it's a in the state, it's usually race,
Okay.
right? It's race. In the feds, it's race and geographics,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, example, you from Syracuse, New York, I'm from Brooklyn. The rule is you are from New York. Period. That's
Mm-hmm.
just kind of what it is. You're from New York. So, in some instances, depending on where you are, if the word is there's a beef with the New York boys, I can be sort of an innocent individual in the whole thing, but because I'm from New York, I might have to get into a situation that you got in. Why? Because the target is New York,
Mm-hmm.
and it can go that direction
Mm-hmm.
depending on where you are in certain instances, and that's just not the case necessarily in the state. You may have some local some Harlem against Brooklyn. You may have some of
Mhm.
that going on, and you may have some other locations. At least back then. Now of course it's more gang related
Mhm.
situations than anything, but um, yeah, you can be sent anywhere in the country, man.
So
In the
did you
feds.
one what year did you convert to Islam? What year was that?
Uh, I took Shahada in '92.
Took shot. Okay. So that was before you even touched the feds, right?
Yeah, that was before I touched
Okay.
the feds. Mm.
So going into the feds, did you run with like was there an Islam group and then what were you with the New York group or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's there's Islam in every
right,
prison you go to, whether
right.
that be state or federal,
Hmm.
right? And so, as a Muslim, of course, you go to the masjid, you go to the mosque on Fridays and
Hmm.
Jumu'ah, and right, you find the Muslims that are there, and let hey, I'm Muslim. Oh, all right, it's a new Muslim on the compound. Hey, you know what I mean? And you pretty much vibe out with the Muslims for the most part. Not that you don't vibe out with everyone else in the
Right.
situation, but
Hmm.
you pretty much stay close to the Muslims, you
Hmm.
rock out with the Muslims, you learn with the Muslims. Why? Because and I don't want to say every Muslim, but we try to move it. Our goal is to move differently. And most of the time, the Muslims are usually like the nucleus in the space. We're usually the majority of in terms of a religious population or in any group. We're usually the largest group present in a prison situation.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Hmm. Do you think that being with the Muslims kind of kept you from getting into those type of politics and prison politics or Fed
No,
politics?
no, no, no. Again, like I said, before I became Muslim, I just understood. Like I said, you have to learn very quickly, man. You have to really be able to assess your environment very quickly and just determine, hey, here's how I'm going to move in this space,
Hmm.
really.
Hmm.
And you just have to learn this stuff to some degree early on. The how, I don't know if it's just experience or what have you, and just being in the street or whatever. You just sometimes have to just learn your environment quickly and assess exactly what is going to happen and how
Hmm.
you're going to move.
Hmm.
Right now, you can identify a group and say, "Oh, I'm gonna rock with this group right here. The dudes just running around cutting and stabbing and getting in the mix." You can join and get in the mix with all that. It's an open door for you to get in the mix of that. I was clear that that's not how I was necessarily going to move unless I absolutely have to, right? If I have to shake, then I'm shaking,
Hmm.
right? Because I'm not going to be a sucker in the situation either. But yeah, the ultimate goal is to go home.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, while I was banging on the doors to get up in there, you
Hmm.
understand what I'm
Hmm.
saying? The ultimate goal is going home, and I don't think sometimes brothers get in the situations and don't even realize that until late.
Hmm.
This is absolutely not the ultimate goal here. The ultimate goal is not to get in. The ultimate goal is to get home and to get home alive, to come home alive.
Hmm.
So
So you had two bids in the feds, right? Or you have
no
one?
one,
How many bids did you have in the feds?
one
Just
bit,
one?
yeah, one
Okay.
fair bit. Mhm.
So towards the end of your time there, were you kind of like doing any type of rehabilitation, any type of prison reform?
Yeah. So while I was in there, I did do NA. I
Mhm.
did NA class. I did what is like a KSAT class. This is like drug abuse
Mhm.
class because
Mhm.
I've had addiction issues as
Mhm.
a young person,
Mhm.
I'm saying, well into some parts of my adulthood as well,
Mhm.
addiction. But while I was addressing the mentality around addiction, I was also addressing the root causes of the addiction, and it allowed me to heal around the trauma that I experienced with my stepfather
Mhm.
and my mother, right? And my
Mhm.
father as well, right? So it allowed me to heal from that space,
Mhm.
which also had me determined before I left prison that I was going to come home and work with young people. I was going to work with,
Did they have
kids.
any reentry into society programs to kind of get you up to speed of what's going on the outside or
Yeah, they did, man. those reentry, I have to be honest, man. A lot of the reentry programs or whatever that did exist in those spaces was like of no help at all. Um, and I say that to say a lot of the stuff that they had to offer was very dated. It was either dated, and then as I look at it, the people who were talking about release and the preparation for going out into society were people who were actually still incarcerated,
Mhm.
who had not experienced the outs release. So it's like, yeah, bruh. How you know what I'm saying?
How you
I
gonna
got
tell
you.
me
You're an
that?
amazing facilitator, but like the
Yeah.
connection, like how are you actually telling me about being free in society with it something that you have not experienced
Experience yourself.
yourself
Yeah.
at the moment, and to even verify any of these resources, still available,
Mhm.
right? Because they got dated stuff. They're saying, hey, this address is over here. They help you with this program. And then you get out there thinking, I'm going to get into this free program situation. And you get there and it's like, nah, that ain't even here. That building is something else now. That program been going years ago. And so I think because I had already done a lot of my own mental preparation
Mhm.
and utilizing a lot of the program tools and the language, it gave me a boost to stay on the straight and narrow when I got out because I knew I was like, I was clear I wasn't going back. I didn't know how, but I knew I was going to make sure that this here was not going to be an option anymore.
Mhm.
And whatever I needed to do to make certain of that, I did it.
Mhm. So having that mindset kind of helped change your perspective on life in a positive way.
No, absolutely. It allowed me to look in places that I did not normally look
Mhm.
for growth or for assistance, right? The things that I, may have thought were corny, or people that I thought were weird, or, I would consider weirdos.
Mhm.
I was like, those are people that are actually staying free. I
Mhm.
want what they got. So maybe I need to start changing my circle a little bit, bringing other ways of being, the ways of being free into my life. Circle, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
To start learning those things. And so that's what I did, you know?
So while incarcerated, were there any skills other than barbering that you learned or developed while in there, or thought like, I want to give this a try when I get out?
No, there wasn't really much. I looked at some business stuff. I didn't do that stuff, of course, until I really understand it and dived in it until much later
Mhm.
around the business. Like I always sort of had the business, but never sort of formulated structurally.
Mhm.
I was just focused mainly on the skill of barbering, building my clientele, actually working in a barber shop again in the street because I subconsciously I think I believe that barbering was something that I only needed to do while I was in prison.
Mhm.
That because I learned it there. I
Mhm.
learned it in juvenile. That's why I picked it up. I never did it. I never translated it to success or hey, until eventually I'm like, what I'm on the sidewalk for? I can actually earn here. I have a viable, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so, but prior to that, it was like the only time I picked up clippers
Was in prison.
was
Mhm.
in prison, or I would pick them up in the street, but it wasn't like the work in the barbershop. I cut my nephew's hair,
Yeah.
something like that.
Mhm.
But other than that, no. So
So coming out your first day, what did you kind of do for money or for work? Did you have any gigs lined up? Did you have any?
barbershop,
You went straight to the barbershop.
straight to the barbershop. I think one of the gigs when I first, because in another bid that I done when I was in out of state when I came home, I never even considered going in a barbershop. I just wanted to own one.
Mhm.
Again, like I said, barbering was something that I would only do in prison. And if I was going to do anything with barbering, it would be more so me owning it. And I came home then and I did like this it was really a dumb job. I didn't really have to do it, but I think what it did was it tore down a lot of the pride that I had around working
Mhm.
or what work looked like for me. Like I did some like door to door selling trinkets
Mhm.
for a couple months, and it was like it was so humbling for me, right?
Mhm.
And but it also let me know what was possible for me around just working,
Mhm.
right? And not being on the street. And then of course eventually I wound up going into a barbershop and started working in the barbershop.
And
And
during
I was
that
like,
time, did you have guidance or brothers or anybody around you to kind of keep your head straight from being like, this not really for me, and I want to try something else out, or maybe go back to the street? Like, did you have that, or was it
um
mental more so, just like, yeah, I ain't going back?
it was mental, but I did have, I have brothers around, you know what I'm saying, that would check up on what's going on, that I can confide in
Hmm.
if, things were, wasn't going right for me, or if I felt things weren't going right. And then there was times that, I hid stuff from brothers too, because I would came home, I hid stuff from brothers and wound up I was in a penitentiary in the feds, right?
Hmm.
But when I decided that last time, I was like, nah, this is it. It was more mental determination than anything, and that I would make sure that I had the supporters around me that was a consistent reminder to me that that we're not even going in that direction no more,
Hmm.
you know?
Hmm. Did you get to pick up any skills outside of barbering when you were out, or at any given point?
Just skills around working with young people, understanding, different language around, um, growth language for young people, mindset shift and things of that nature, facilitation, really understanding. Because I'm a barber and I'm a smith, so I'm a talker,
Hmm.
right? We talk.
Hmm.
And so, but just sort of understanding sort of how to facilitate, how to teach young people, understanding and learning different curriculums or what have you, to sort of hone in the message for young people. Um, Ways of engagement, how to sort of take my story of who I've been and connect it with other young people's experience, how to coaching young people just around what's happening in life. So those are the other skills, just coaching,
Hmm.
how to listen, like for people who are, looking for guidance and assistance.
So a mentor
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
way.
mentoring, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Mhm.
So
Did you
those
did
are
you
a
do
lot of
that?
things.
Did you go to any schools? Did you
No,
work at any schools, or
no
did
school. I didn't go any
mm,
school for it, anything like that.
mm,
It was all experience working with, my close friends and some other employment that I did have as well, working with
mm,
another nonprofit organization that worked with young people, working with my dude Divine, working with my partner Wayne Harris Barr, working with Ruben Durancy, working with the people of that nature.
mhm. So so when was the last time exactly you went in the feds? How long ago now has it been?
21 years.
So
I
now
have not.
21 years later,
I've been out for 21 years.
now 21 years later, what does success look like for you now?
Oh man, I don't. Success. 21 years is successful to me, man.
Mm,
Yeah, being out here for 21 years, all of the things that I have been able to do, successes, um, for me has been rebuilding a relationship with my mother, being able to have, uh, I want to say build a relationship with my dad before he passed. But I think moving on from the trauma of who my dad had not been to me and being able to be present for him, that is successful for me. Um, Being able to be a different person for my older children who have experienced my incarceration and me not being present for them, but showing up differently now as their dad and being free.
Mhm.
That is success. Um, my children, man, my children, my marriage, being able to push through, man, the rough times, man, because
Mhm.
there's been some rough times, in my marriages, my relationships with my other my children's mom and moms, and just sort of where we all are currently in my relationship with them. That is successful to me. um and again, like I said, even just with my marriage currently, being able to just kind of grow, man, past a lot of the challenges that we've experienced, and watching each other grow and continue to grow, like coming up on 10 years, right? And that is the longest that I have been with a woman. That is success
Mhm.
for me. Again, it has not been perfect, but what is perfect. And when I say not perfect, it not necessarily meaning bad, but like that imperfection has shaped me as a father. It has shaped me as a husband. So that's success
Mhm.
for me.
So I kind of want to end this on a like a little message.
Mhm.
Um, Kind of two parts to it. The first part being a message to those grown and young men, maybe in the projects, maybe just in a hard situation in their home, that's kind of always in and out of prison, and they feel like that like they don't really have no other answer but to be in the street. What will be a message to keep them on that straight path?
You have options. You have choices. Some choices may be more uncomfortable than others, but you do have a choice. Some choices may not be as pretty and comfortable, but you do have one. You have a choice. You can choose different. You don't have to. You don't have to choose this, you know?
What
You
are
can
some options that you would recommend that they
I
do?
I don't it depends on what people's circumstances are. I don't know what everybody's situation is, right? I think if I had to pinpoint it to one thing, if I had to just narrow it down to one thing, I would narrow it down to people's belief in themselves, belief around their circumstances, how they see it.
Mhm.
If you believe that this is the only way, then that's the only way. That's just what it is, right? It's like you have an opportunity to change your belief around a thing,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
You have that choice. And so choose to be open to shift your belief around your circumstances.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What would be a message to your younger self if you had a younger Michael across from you? What would be a message to him from you now in the future to him then?
Yeah. Um I think I said this at the my 20th event, and that is that you are enough, and you actually have everything you need already. You have it. It's already there. So I say, because all of, as I think too, like all of who I am is where I am now. Well, of course, I've learned a lot and so forth and so on. Like all of this was already here, was a part of me, right? It's just the belief that change, that mindset shift to like activate the things that is already in you. You just need sometimes somebody to help unlock it,
Mhm,
right? And then you have to believe it.
mhm.
So, I would say that to younger me.
Zaki, thank you for coming out, man. I appreciate you
Nah, absolutely.
for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Now I appreciate you you even considering, because like we chop it up on the phone or
Mhm,
whatever, and you was like, yo, I want to do an interview or whatever, because you had some questions. You was asking questions even on the phone, right?
mhm,
It was like, nah, I want to do the interview. And so I appreciate you wanting to dive in um to this. I think I think what is equally important, and I think maybe, possible, it's not even maybe, it's like, all right, let's do a part two. And that part two is, I think it's important for whoever sees this, especially that kid that you just asked about in the hood or wherever, because they ain't all in the hood.
mhm,
They ain't all in the projects, right?
mhm,
That's sometimes it's an assumption, right? They everywhere. Young people are everywhere. They're in every corner, every hood, every neighborhood of our society and our community. And it ain't all about all of them going to the penitentiary, right? Everybody don't have to be going to the penitentiary. They can make some other bad decisions or choices in their lives or what have you. But I say that to say, I think it would be very important and inspiring for other young men to really understand how me and you even got here.
mhm,
Cause that's something, bro.
mhm,
That's something. For us to be sitting here and you interviewing me, that's a thing.
mhm.
That is a thing. It's a whole thing. And so I think part two of this conversation, and when you're comfortable and we are just, when you come back in town, we sit on the couch and just really go there, man, and just have that conversation about, you know, what our experience had been, our growth in it, and other young men and stepdads, right? Like we had a real baby boy situation happening,
Mhm,
right? And to then you seen what happened with Melvin and Tyrese at the end.
mhm,
That's where we are. And
mhm.
so it's like, yeah, how do we have that conversation as well on camera? I think that would be super dope.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I feel like a lot of people could definitely relate to that. I feel like a
Absolutely.
lot of people have that, that rocky relationship with with another, I guess, father figure or sometimes even mother figure stepping in. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, I feel like a lot of people could relate to that for
Hell
sure.
yeah. Come on,
For sure.
man. Yeah.
Like I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I think that would be good.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like that's long overdue too.
Yeah.
I feel like yeah, I like that. I like
Absolutely.
that idea. We could do that for sure.
Word. I appreciate you, man.
Of
Thanks
course.
for doing this.
Of course.